I'm one of those despicable morning people, and so I have to re-coffee.
So yeah, your most recent blog post. What's the exact title of it again?
Patriarchal practitioner in chief. I got very frustrated because really the only issue that I spent any breath defending the president on was women's issues. I posted this on the first, and I am as angry or more angry because now I have new reasons to be angry than I was when it happened. So yeah.
I was trying to talk to my roommates about this earlier, and they were just like, "Well, wait, well, what's that? And wait, why did they make that decision? Well, wait, who gets to make that decision?" So if you could explain, just like what happened.
I tried to do that in my piece without being like super repetitive, but this is like 12 years of history. It goes back to the Bush administration, and none of us were really all that surprised when the Bush administration got all political over scientific. Um, so there's this really great prescription, currently a prescription. If you have unprotected sex, you can go get emergency contraception within the first 72 hours. It's essentially like a higher dose of birth control is the easiest way to think about it. So it works the same way as the pill. There's never any pregnancy. You would never get a positive on a pregnancy test. It's great. Literally just prevents, and it's safe. The FDA reviewed the old version, had more doses to it. Reviewed the old version, said that it was safe. It's actually safer than aspirin. Cold medicine is more dangerous than emergency contraception. They said all women of childbearing age. So for some women, that's as young as 8, 9, 10, would be safe to take. Pretty much your standardized testing instructions in school now are more complicated than the directions for this prescription medication. So it's simple to take, it's easy, you go, you're supposed to just be able to get it. The Bush administration didn't like the idea of 12-year-olds being able to get their hands on contraception or anything called contraception.
Mm-hmm.
They also immediately equated it with RU486, the abortion pill.
Mm-hmm.
So anti-choicers freaked out immediately over this medication, and they essentially ignored all of their scientists, the people they hired to make these decisions about what's safe and how things should be distributed, for the first time in the history of the FDA. Mm-hmm. So this has never happened before, and I can't imagine it happening with anything else, right? I mean, mm-hmm. But Viagra was approved without like anybody batting an eyelash. That's actually dangerous. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's a, they make Law and Order episodes about Viagra misuse, right? Mm-hmm. So the Center for Reproductive Rights filed a citizens petition and lawsuits, and that's been going on forever. So we elect a new president who's pro-woman, and he even puts a woman in charge of Health and Human Services, right? Kathleen Sebelius, and everybody cheered. And then she issued this really, I still haven't really been able to figure it out. I guess in the first term, most of us saw it as like a nod to like the middle.
The fictional middle.
Right, yeah. You debate people about the middle a lot too, probably. Yeah, it doesn't exist. There's the apathetic, and then there's the people who care on either side. This was pre-war on women. This was before my generation of women woke up to the fact that they were coming for our birth control and our rights. You know, women in their late 20s, early 30s were wandering around just assuming we would have all these. And then in 2011, despite the fact that the FDA had approved it for all ages without a prescription, mm-hmm. Kathleen Sebelius said that they were going to make it available for women 17 and older without a prescription, and then under 17 with a prescription. Mm-hmm. And the Center for Reproductive Rights was like, that's not what your scientists said. That causes a whole nother host of problems. And so it's been in lawsuits since that decision in 2011. And then in April 5th, Judge Corman, who is my favorite man and a Reagan appointee, by the way, who's had the case since the beginning, essentially said to Kathleen Sebelius, look, this is ridiculous. Like, your scientists made this decision. You have to comply with what your own agency has found. You comply, you have 30 days. No age restrictions, no IDs, nothing. It should be on the shelf. And which also would mean it wouldn't have to be in a place with a pharmacy or an open pharmacy with a pharmacist on duty. So then, inexplicably, 5 days before, we all cheered. Everybody cheered. The only issue that Obama had been bad on with women was this one weird thing, right? And the courts fixed it, and we were like, yay, we can be excited again. And then 5 days before the end of that 30-day period, they had to comply. The FDA issues this statement saying that Plan B, which is the name of the emergency contraception that's a part of the lawsuit, says that it will now be available 15 years and over without a prescription. So
they just moved it down.
That just meant that it was 2 years younger, all the same problems, right? So you have to show ID, which we know from the last election is a problem. Like, not everybody has ID. Having to ID, plus it gets rid of the anonymous way you're supposed to just be able to buy this. You know, it should be as easy to buy as condoms. You should just be able to get it. And so the judge granted a temporary stay so that the Circuit Court of Appeals could take up the issue. And that was just extended temporarily so that they can, so just the Circuit Court and the government can like get their cases together and pick a date to decide it. So we're fighting it. Our government is fighting this. We don't have money for air traffic controllers and Social Security checks, but we have money in the couch cushions to prevent women from preventing unplanned pregnancies. It's like the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I haven't been able to figure out what the motive behind this is. Do you have any clue at all?
No, this is my problem, right? So, and that was why I think I was so angry, just in a personal way, like I've never been before. And I've felt strongly about issues and disagreed, politically before, but never been this angry. I mean, I was a West Wing junkie, right? We all were. We watched all 8 seasons of that. And like a lot of us, have been involved with political fights, and some of us campaigns, right? Campaigns for you. Before you completely went green and abandoned the blue. But even at times where you've been fighting out like policy positions for officials or debating people on those issues, even when I've disagreed with people, I've been able to anticipate or see their side, right? That's how you get good at debate. You see the opposition side coming. And I don't see a political advantage of any kind for this. This isn't like as ridiculous as entitlement reform is, right? And the chain CPI, which is ridiculous, right? Stupid and unnecessary. He should just be saying, screw you. There is a talking point to be had that says, if we want to raise taxes, we need to give the Republicans a thing, a little bit of a bone, and we're doing that with chain CPI. Like you can at least make a talking point out of it. It's dumb and I hate it, but you can make one. With this, there's nothing. Literally, emergency contraception wasn't an issue nationally. It not big enough to be on like a platform worth fighting over, screaming and yelling about, until the administration made it one. Like, they've literally created this entire situation. Even if there was a bone to throw to the middle or whatever. I hate the middle. I hate the middle so much. I hate it. Even if there was something to have been gained, they certainly had this available talking point. They could have said, listen, the president was clear, Director Sebelius was clear that our preference was for this. We took it, we were taken to court. The federal court judge said we had to comply. What are you going to do? Like, they had that to fall back on, right? But like, I mean, the president is a smart man, whether you like him or his policies or not. He's an intelligent human being. And he has some intelligent and diabolically intelligent people around him. Why? Like, who in his cabinet or administration or anywhere thinks that there's anything to be gained from this other than pissing off the people who put him back in office?
Right.
Like, women and minorities put this man back, and he did not have to order moving vans because of us. And he literally just looked right at us and said, fuck you. I have spent time talking to my more pragmatic, like, pro-choice, warriors, the people who stood by the president during the last election. Like, I begrudgingly, like, defended him on women's issues and then kind of didn't talk about other stuff on air. But people who were, like, campaigning for him just because they wanted to maintain their own anatomical autonomy are pissed about this. Like, he lost the only people he had left, as far as I know. There isn't. I've got nothing.
I just don't know where he's coming from. And it's this issue. It's also, like, the Keystone XL, where, like, maybe he can, by not going through with the negotiations that he started, make it seem like a victory. I just don't understand why it's that Obama is the one who is, like, pushing through what the Republicans, 8 years ago, 10 years ago wanted. I don't really have a talking point for that, but
I've got nothing either. And the thing for me that makes it so, I've decided to essentially, like, abandon politics and policy and just, like, scream about the things that are most important to me. But, like, even the part of my brain that still, like, writes that PR side of it in my head says on Keystone, on several issues, he had just really obvious available outs. The court made the decision. The Secretary of State technically gets to make the decision on Keystone, right? I mean, it's a president's decision, but it goes through the State Department. I mean, Kerry has a pretty solid, for somebody who's been in office as long as he has, you're not going to, even if you like him on an issue, you're not going to like every decision. And anytime you sift through a voting record, you'll see up or down votes on things because there was weird stuff stuck into a bill you don't know about. But Kerry's pretty good on these issues. He's pretty good on jobs. He's pretty good on the environment. He's pretty good on women. Lots of those things. He could just leave it up to the State Department and have some realistic numbers about, this isn't going to create any jobs, and we're not going to get any of the oil. So, like, we don't want Canada to tear up the middle of our country. Like, he could just not even say the words global climate change and still have an out on that. The same way he never even had to, like, mention emergency contraception. The only people who paid attention to that decision on April 5th, as evidenced by the way your roommates reacted, and why I had to write such a long piece, because this was short. Like, I just had to link to stuff. Like, here's the timeline, and go look over here if you don't know what this thing is. Thank God for a blogging format. But some of these things either weren't issues until he made them one, or he had just really an easy way to walk all the rest of the way through that revolving door and out the other side and be like, yeah, State Department, court's made the decision. We have that was the other thing that really pissed me off. Shit is messed up around here. Like, things need fixing. Like, there is stuff to do, and this is what your Justice Department is doing. This and going after the AP. Like, this is what you're doing. Like, you have time and money for this. I mean, that's, like, the piece that I'm working on this weekend is, like, what does the Justice Department do exactly? Because who decides their budget? Because whoever decides their budget is apparently allocating money to keep, 14-year-old incest victims who managed to come up with the $60 for emergency contraception and live close enough to a Walmart to get to one, and journalists trying to do their jobs. Like, they have money to stop that from happening. Like, where is I don't understand. Like, where are the conservatives? Why aren't they flipping out? I got nothing.
I got nothing either. Well, it was good to talk with you, and hopefully I'll be talking with you June 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th.
Yes, in there somewhere.
In there somewhere. Cool. Later on. Thanks for doing the interview.
Absolutely.
Peace.